All right, welcome. Thank you for joining us for this recording of What's New Google Part 1. Updates and reminders for the incoming 2023-24 school year. I'm excited to be able to share some of these new features that Google has and other reminders of things that Google has incorporated into their products over the last couple of years that I think maybe are a little bit overlooked or neglected. And hopefully you can find a way to use some of these things. So let's just dive right in here. In part one, we are taking a look at Google Slides and Google Docs. We're going to begin with Google Docs here and some features that I'd like to share with you because maybe you would find them helpful. The first is when you're on a slide, you have the ability to be able to set guidelines. By guidelines, I don't necessarily mean, like what you're allowed to do and not to do, but rather about where things are located on a particular slide. You may have noticed sometimes when you're dragging an image around or a text box around that little lines kind of appear, these red ones at times. Those are helpful guidelines, but you can actually set them and not just rely upon what Google defaults to give you. So I'm going to go into the View menu, down to Guides, and select Show Guides. And then you will see by default that sets crosshairs a vertical guideline and a horizontal guideline based upon what the center of the slide is. But you can create other ones there to align things more properly if that's what you need to do. I'm going to go back to View, Guides, and select to add a vertical guide. And as you'll see, a new line gets placed on there. Now I could take this new line and I can drag it to another part of the screen. Like perhaps I want to create a new text box and I want to be able to align it to that new guideline that I just put on there. So I create this text box and now I can slide it so that it matches up with this guideline. I can also create a guideline on the horizontal plane, which I'll do here. And I'm going to take this guideline and set it to the top of this text box that I have there. And now what I'm going to do is take the image I have and use it to align with the top of that text box. And you can see now how I can put objects on the slide and get them to be roughly the same, or not roughly, pretty exactly the same as another part on the screen. And when you don't want to see your guidelines anymore, you can simply go back and you can turn them off by clicking on this again. You're also able to clear the guidelines and edit them as well from this menu. And I'm just going to shut them off for now. The next Google Slide feature that I'd like to share is about creating customized themes within Google Docs. So a theme is a group of colors or fonts, maybe font size, backgrounds, layouts, that sort of thing that get applied to all of your slides within the same slideshow. So to do that, I'm actually going to open up a new slides presentation here. And when I do that, you'll be able to see when you open it up that there's these different themes that show up here by default. Google has some basic templates that it allows you to do. And I can select that and you can see that it applies to these different slides as an overall theme. But I can make edits and adjustments to that as well. So I can go up to View once again and choose the theme builder from that file menu. And you'll see on here that it has different layouts and what the font will look like and font sizes on various different layouts within the theme. If I click on this top theme one here, I can go through, for example, and say that I think that the colors that are used here is kind of difficult to see. So I can go and I can choose on all of the slides on this theme to change that color to one that I think is easier to read. So that's one thing that you can do to the different themes. You can also change the font name, the font type. You can also change font size, whether it's bold or underlined or anything like that. Now, that's cool, but you can also create a theme that is customized. So again, if I have this top box selected here in that top left corner, and I go down to the bottom right where it says import theme, I can bring in the theme from another presentation that I have created in the past and use that to apply to this presentation and other presentations like it. So I have in the past created one that I just called ECMEC template. And if I insert that, you will see that it's going to bring in the background and the fonts that I want for all the slides on this particular theme. So as you could see, and then that can be one where you can bring some sort of branding or consistency then to the types of presentations that you have. All right, so let's go back to the presentation and take a look at the next thing in Google Slides, which I think you'll find kind of neat, is relatively new. This one allows you to be able to write on a slide while you're in presentation mode. So kind of cool. I'm going to go and choose to go enter into presentation mode here on this slide so that I can demonstrate this. So when you're in presentation mode, if you take your mouse or cursor and you hover over the bottom left corner of the screen, the three dots meaning more show up, and I can click on those three dots and I can choose turn on the pen. When I do that, you could see this red dot moves around the screen and I can press and hold it and I can use this feature to be able to write anything that I want on this particular slide. Okay. You can even choose to change pen colors. You get black or blue or green. So pretty basic right now. Maybe there'll be more choices in the future. Also down at the bottom left, you have the eraser tool and you can choose to erase all and it takes it all away. Now, this also works with keyboard shortcuts. If you press Shift L, it turns the pen off. One thing that I shared in the past in last year's What's New Google was the laser pointer. That is still there. You can either access that down here with the more buttons and choose laser pointer. And if you do, then you can use this to kind of quickly highlight whales or sharks or other parts of the slide that you want to draw attention to. And just like you can use Shift L for the pen, you can just use L on the keyboard to turn that off. So kind of another neat addition that Google has made to its slides program. So I'm going to go to the next one here. And this is kind of one I like to remind people of, that slides doesn't have to be just for presentation style activities. It also has some really good functions in it for doing things that are non-chronological, maybe making a choice board, maybe some sort of a choose your own adventure style story. And if you're interested in that, we don't have time to go into how to do that in this presentation, but you can click on this link that's on the slides that I'll share to you here at the end. You can also create your own jigsaw activities when you divide students up into different groups and they all create a different part of something. In this link right here, if you click on that image, I created an activity here that students could do where this kind of acts as like the hyperlink document, where students can go to learn about the founding fathers viewpoints towards the Constitution, whether they were Federalists and Anti-Federalists. So you can click on this image and I have it linked to an article about Alexander Hamilton, for example, and another one over here by Patrick Henry, which is going to give a different viewpoint of it. You can also link it to a document. Maybe you have some sort of comparison chart that you're going to ask students to complete, and they can find then all of these resources to complete that assignment from this one landing page that you have created and set up here. And it's not really a presentation, but allows students to be able to explore a little bit more independently. The next and final Google Slides feature that I want to share with you here today is the use of AI in your slides. Now, Google has come out with something called Duet AI for Slides. It is available, but only as a paid add-on to your Google subscriptions that you have. So I'm guessing that probably most of your schools are not going to want to pay for individual teachers and individual users to have um, that on their accounts. I think it's like $30 per person. But there are other ones that you can use as well. Dolly 2, which has been around for a little while. It's actually a product from OpenAI, the same company that created ChatGPT. They give you a certain number of images that you can create for free each month. And then when you've used up those images, you can buy credits to make additional ones or wait till your account resets at the end of the month. Canva has their program called Magic Design, which is also pretty awesome. And it's available for free if you have a free Canva educator account. So if you don't have one of those, go sign up for one as well. The other one that I think is pretty neat and works really, really well is called Adobe Firefly. And again, it's another one of these that are free. And I think it's a pretty powerful tool for being able to use to make images that you would like to add to your slides that maybe you have a hard time Googling and finding, or you're concerned maybe a little bit about the copyright of images that you're bringing in. And so this would be a good way to bring in copyright-free images because they're ones that you and AI created together. Finally, last thing here about slides that I want to mention is that Google Slides is great. I love using Google Slides, but if you want to get some help from AI in creating slides upon a topic that you would just like to have AI help you create some of the content for, there are four that are on here that I've looked at that work pretty good. My favorite of those four is probably Curipod. So if that's something that you would like to have AI generate slides for you, check those out and you can get some other ideas as well. Moving on, Google Docs is the other topic that we're diving into here today. And the first thing that I want to show you with Google Docs is smart chips. Smart chips have been around for a year or two, but they keep adding more and more things that are you're able to do with smart chips. Now, I should say before I get into showing you some of the things that smart chips can add to your documents, it'd be important to say that if your district uses the free Google for Education version, you're not going to get access to all of these smart chips. You may get a few of them, but not all of them. If your district pays for Workspace for Education Plus, which many do, then you'll be able to use all of these different features. So again, check those out. If you're unsure whether your district has the Google Workspace for Education Plus, check with your tech coordinator. They'll be able to tell you. So let's take a look at what are some of the things that you can do with smart chips. So I'm going to go to this document that I started here a while back. So there's some other things on here, and here it is. So these are just some examples of how to add them. So you start by going up to the Insert menu and scroll down until you find smart chips, and you can see dates and people, files, events, places, and more that are on there. For one of the things that you can add is you can add in a date right on your document by doing the following steps. Go to Insert, down to Smart Chips, and selecting Date. It'll open up a calendar for you, and you can click on the date that you want added. Like, for example, part 2 of What's New Google is going to happen on Thursday, September 28th, and it will be at 2 times 7:15 in the morning, but also 3:15 p.m. And so I will select that, click OK, and you'll notice that it dropped that date and time right in my document for me. So then when I click on that, it brings up something that looks like it's part of a calendar too. You can also insert people's names directly into the document, including their contact. So if I go up to Smart Chips and choose People, and by default, it gives me some recently contacted people, but I can choose some other people from this list as well. Like, for example, I can choose this person right here, which is my personal email account, but that's okay. And why would I do that? Well, I can then also use this and I can add a comment where I'm going to tag that person to ask them to do something. I can add a file directly to this by going up again to Insert Smart Chips. The other way that you can quickly access the smart chips from your keyboard is to start with the @ symbol, and then you'll be able to see there's these different ones, those smart chips that pull up here as well, including the ability to add files. So if I start typing, say, the name of a file, and I'm going to go 23 24, and here I found the file that I was looking for. I can click on it and it adds it in as a link in my document, and it will show me a quick view of what it is. I can open it up in a small preview, or I can just click on it and open it up in a new tab. All of those things right from within this document. I can also insert. Again, here I can go with the @ symbol or to the insert menu to the smart chips, and I can add an event that already appears on my calendar. So say, for example, I wanted to add this one on there, and it would show up, and I could click tab on this and I could go right to the notes for the meeting. Kind of a neat thing. I can add places such as St. Cloud State. Another thing that's in there, and again, this one will be available if you have that Google Workspace for Education Plus, is the ability to add voting chips. And you can go and you can add voting chips here that are either pre-created by Google, like a thumbs up or a heart. You can also add custom ones, and you can choose a custom image there. And then the people that have the access to the document will be allowed to click on them to be able to vote for which one they like best. Another smart chip is the stopwatch. You can see I have a stopwatch. It's actually still running from earlier today. That's over 8 hours. But that is found in the same place. And here I'm going to pause it and actually reset it. And once it's inserted, you can just go back, hover over the top of it, and click to start it up once again. You also have the ability to set a timer. And you can see here with these smart chips, not only can you create them and have them be this normal size, if I select it, I can also change the size of it, either smaller or larger. So if I put a timer and say, hey kids, you're going to have 3 minutes to complete this assignment. And once that 3 minutes is done, then the timer, as you're watching it, is going to go off, and then that's it. So here I just have one set for 3 seconds, just so that you can see it expired. There's not going to be a siren or an alarm going off or anything like that. But that's one of them. Variables are another thing that you can add in here. I'm going to skip over those for today just because of the length of the video here. I don't want to make it too much longer. And I want to be able to share some other things with you as well. But if you're interested in them, just Google smart chip variables in a Google Doc, and you can learn about how to use those. Okay, let's go then back to our next Google Doc item that we're sharing here today are called building blocks. Building blocks are basically tables that Google has made templates for. And you can use ones that they've created, like you're seeing here, or you can customize them and make them your own. So I'm going to show you another example here on a document. Again, I've got a lot of things on here. We'll just ignore some of those for demonstrative purposes. And here, now you should be able to see it. I'm going to go up to insert here again and choose building blocks from the list. One of the building blocks that I can choose from, or the ones that you could choose from that already exist, you'll see on here a product roadmap, a review tracker, project assets. These are all templates of ones that Google has already created. So I can go in here, I can click, say, review tracker, and you can see that it shows up, and I can enter in the reviewer, right? I can say what their status is here. I can even change these. If I don't like the words under review, I could say, I don't know, rough draft, okay? And click save, apply it to all. And so now I can change and I can show what the status of that project is, needs work. Now, I said that these are all customizable, that you can actually go in and you can edit them like you would any other table that you insert into a document. So, for example, I can go here, I can go Format, Table, and because this is a table, I can insert a column to the right and it's going to add another there, and I can put in here a different heading if I want to and be able to type in information there. So that's one way to add these building blocks, right? We can also, in building blocks, I'm going to go to insert building blocks. You can create some customizable ones here on your own. I've created one here, for example, called Lake Ekmek Planning, and just set up some things, tagged the people that I wanted to do it, and dropped in these different progress drop-down menus, which, by the way, I should probably show you that as well as an item that you can add to a table or actually anywhere on your document. If you want to insert a drop-down, go to Insert and choose drop down, and you can choose the different types of ones that are on there. For example, a simple yes or no. And that's an easy way to organize choices that people would have on a document here as well. Okay. The next thing here that I'd like to show you is the ability of these different documents here to be able to insert, say, like, for example, for me, I'm going to go into building blocks here. And I sometimes like to write my emails in Google Docs because I think it's an easier way to type them out and I can make it look all the way that I want to with the links that I want, especially if it's going to be a lengthy email rather than, risk me accidentally pressing the send button when I wasn't ready. And so here it opens up an area where you can begin to type an email. So let's say I want to type an email to a person. I can use the smart chip to be able to do that. So I'm going to access those smart chips by typing the @ symbol, and I'm going to start typing in maybe the name of a person, or a group of people, and I can add them to my document here or add them to my email. I can then click in the subject line, and I can go to begin typing the body of the email. Now, what's really kind of neat here is you see this M that's up there to preview in Gmail. I don't have to copy and paste anything into my Gmail to be able to send it. I can send it right from this document. It will open up a little box that you're not seeing, but trust me, it's there. And then I can go and I can click send from there, and it will send the email to the people that I have identified. So that is creating a draft email. You can also, if you're working in a document and you want to be able to create a calendar event, you can create a calendar event right from here as well. What's new, Google? I can invite guests, the start time. We're going to go Thursday. We're going to say it's at 3:15 and okay, and location description. And then guess what? When I go up here and I click on the number that's in the little box, in the little piece of paper for the calendar, it will add that event to my calendar. That's pretty cool. Okay. Let's move on then to just a couple things left here with Google Docs, and then you'll be on your way for the day. The next thing that I want to show you is to insert citations, which is a pretty cool tool that has been added here into Google Docs. It kind of brings the power of EasyBib. Remember EasyBib and the EasyBib add-on? Well, it now puts it right into your Google Docs. And so I can go up here to Tools and to Citations, and I can copy any URL or any um, article or journal that I have, a book, a website, a newspaper article, and I can add it to my works cited list by pasting in a URL. You can see that I've done that right here. So I'm actually going to cancel that here with these ones. And I can add not just the works cited to the end of the document, okay, but I can also choose some text from somewhere else on the screen, like for example, right here, and I can choose to cite this in an in-text citation. So right there, see it added Cohen to the end because that's where I took that information from. So again, kind of a neat tool, especially in situations where you're going to have students that you expect to be able to do that. Now, one of the limitations here is there are not too many choices here of different citation methods. So if you're not using MLA, APA, or Chicago style citations, then you're probably out of luck, at least for now. Does Google keep adding more and more features to its different products? Absolutely, it does. So that ability to have different types of citations may come in the future. And finally, just like we ended slides with AI, let's end docs with AI as well. Duet AI for Google Docs also does exist. However, again, it's that paid feature. So if you don't have the ability to use the paid feature, a couple of generative AI tools that I think do a pretty good job that will also help you write emails, that will also help get you content for a Google Doc, are ChatGPT by OpenAI and Bard, which is Google's AI. So check those out. Use those to help you add some of those things that you're looking for when you're generating content. All right. Those are the Google tools to share with you here for this part one of What's New Google. Part two, remember, is coming up next week on Thursday, and it is not too late to register for that. If you simply find the email where that had the registration for this one, you probably saw it. And if you missed it, shoot me an email and I will get you registered and send you the link for that meeting when that takes place. Anyway, thanks for joining me here today, and I look forward to seeing you all again soon.